everybody. I am about a minute early. Today is, the first episode of Fasting and Beyond of 2020. So I hope to come on here about every couple weeks. And I have a special guest tonight who's going to join us. Frank Kecseti is going to come and tell us about his story. So let me just accept his request. We're going to go live together. It should be connecting.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Excellent. How are you?
Great. It's great to meet you on Instagram officially.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. I just want to real quick before we get started, let me turn up the volume here a little bit. Yeah. I just give a quick medical disclaimer since I'm a doctor, and just let everyone know that we're going to be discussing Frank's journey tonight, but obviously none of this is personalized medical advice for anyone watching because we don't know you and your personal situation. So make sure to talk about anything you see that you find of interest with your doctor. So I just do that every time. But,
nope, I agree 100%. And a lot of times when I tell people how I did it and what I did, they just like, yeah, that's not for me. So it's all good.
Yeah, but your story is incredible. And so what I like to do with people just on Instagram and my followers is always try to give them like motivation and encouragement, because I think when people are starting a weight loss journey, it may seem like it's so insurmountable and they don't, know anyone, or they'll see, some story in the newspaper, but they're like, did that really happen? So I saw you on Instagram, and you had lost I believe, if I'm correct, it was like 128 plus pounds at the time when I saw your profile.
Since May 1st of 2019, I'm down 131, 132.
See, and that's amazing. And so I love sharing stories like yours because I really think people need to hear more about that and just know that even if they don't do your specific regimen, like you said, some people said, well, that's not for me. I think it's just even seeing that you can lose weight, successfully. And you just have to find the regimen that works for you.
Agreed. And I had a lot to lose. Let's just be clear. At my highest, I was pushing 370.
Okay.
So I was up there, and so I kind of pushed myself a little bit harder. It's just kind of, and it worked. But the biggest thing that I've always told people is, listen to your body. If you start feeling bad, eat. If you start not feeling well, have a snack, or actually. A good friend of mine, she kind of got turned on to intermittent fasting, and an old college buddy of mine, he got turned on to intermittent fasting, and so we've all kind of connected and stuff. We all and we all agree, everybody has to do their own thing,
right?
16-8, 12-10, 12-40. Whatever your schedule is. What I did was I combined alternate day fasting and 16-8. So my fasts are 40 hours long, and I eat during an 8-hour window.
Okay.
So it is definitely not for everybody. That's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I noticed was just how good I felt. The other thing that I recommend to people too is, and what I did was, so April of last year, I kind of just started making more conscious decisions and tapering my meals.
Okay.
Because I knew that I was prepping towards fasting, so I tapered off my meals and just kind of smaller portions.
Okay.
Beginning of May, I did a 4-day juice cleanse or juice fast, depending on how you want to phrase it.
Mm-hmm.
To prepare my body and reset for not eating.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of a step that gets overlooked, and I think that that's a hurdle that I've heard from friends and family who have tried it or from people on Instagram that have tried it. That's a hurdle. That's a constant hurdle that I get is, well, I tried it and I felt terrible.
Right.
Okay, well, what did you do beforehand? Oh, well, I ate a huge meal the night before. Okay, well, that's why.
Right.
So I did that juice cleanse to prep and prepare. And then I rolled into my 48
for that. And then I'm kind of curious because I've never personally done a juice cleanse myself. Mm-hmm. Usually when I'm going into a fast, I still prep like you described. Like if I've been eating poorly, do you know what I mean, up until the fast or for, whatever reason, my diet hasn't been what it should. I first try to hone in and get back to eating healthy before the fast, because if not, I feel like you certainly can do a fast after eating lots of processed foods, but you just make it harder on yourself. So
I agree. It's a bigger hurdle to jump.
Correct. And so how did you feel doing a juice fast compared to, I'm not sure, like with your 48 schedule, are you water only? Are you using other fasting foods?
So I'm water only.
Okay. So how did you feel with the juice fast compared to a water only fast?
Okay. So the juice fast that I did was a very acidic reset. It had it was basically grapefruit juice. You diluted it with, it was grapefruit, cayenne, lemon, and I think something else, maybe a little bit of apple juice. Okay. You diluted it with a little bit of water, and I did it for 4 days straight. You basically drink a gallon a day.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to lie to anybody out there. It sucked.
Okay.
But what I value from it is that reset. It was a 4-day reset to having eaten terribly for 31 and a half-ish years. Those 4 days prepared me for the rest. And now I'm almost 8 months or so into it. So I needed it. Mm-hmm. Do your research, figure it out. It helps you to prepare, but it also helps your body to figure out, okay, I'm ingesting something with a caloric intake, but it's not food. So juice as in added sugar juice. So the juice, so if for anybody that might know it, it was through a company called Arden's Gardens in Atlanta, Georgia.
Is it Hardens? I'm going to type that in the thing.
Arden's, Ardens.
Okay.
Garden. She started the whole thing. There's a whole line of juices and stuff. You can go on her website and figure out what it is, but basically it's a mix of grapefruit, lemon, apple, and I think it has a little bit of cayenne or something in it. There's a ton of juice cleanses out there. The only thing I would educate or try to help people understand is ignore all the sugar. Mm-hmm. Of course it has sugar in it. It's juice. It's not that big a deal. You're about to get it out of your system in a few days. Don't worry about it. It's very easy to get hung up in the, well, it has a bunch of sugar in it. It'll be okay. One thing that also now you were asking me a little bit about, getting through it. Mm-hmm. Soda waters. That is the secret that I tell a bunch of people. My wife is a huge soda water drinker, and that helped me. Those things are awesome. It's just carbonated water, but the bubbles really help. They not only help settle your stomach, but they help kind of make you feel more full than you are when you're on a fast. And they're great. So I'm not a dry faster though.
You said you are not a dry.
Are not. No.
Yeah, no, I'm not either. I think
that's a new level.
Yeah, and at least from what I've studied about dry fasting, I get that people say there are these different benefits, but honestly, I've not seen anything compelling above and beyond a water fast. Right. And I think it's safer, the hydration aspect and things like that. So I personally don't, do dry fasting, and people I work with, I don't have.
I ran a 3.5 mile run today on water only, and I've been fasting since last night. So, I still feel great. I don't feel bad. I mean, so it's okay.
Right.
I don't know that if I could do that on a dry fast.
Yeah, and I would definitely be concerned about working out. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Especially high intensity on a dry fast. Piggybacking off of what you just said, I know I get a lot of questions. So I tend to work out fasted. My husband tends to work out fasted. He's a runner as well. But how do you kind of prep yourself for your fasted workouts? Or did you just notice over time that as your body got more used to fasting, that your workout performance increased?
It's really the latter. So obviously when you're 370 pounds, working out doesn't really happen. My biggest workout was going from the couch to the fridge. Now that I'm 224-ish, 225, it opens up a lot.
Right.
I've gotten into running. I've gotten back into yoga. We live right next to Pisgah National Forest, so I'm in the forest at least once a week. And pretty much anything I can do to be active. The thing that I have learned, and again, this goes back to just listening to my body, is, how do you feel? What happens? And just try it. I think I've kind of built up over time. But the day before, I do like to get a lot of proteins and like cruciferous veggies, like leafy greens or something.
Okay.
I find that those kind of help me a little bit, and then and really just water. Occasionally, I might add a little bit of the pink Himalayan salt.
I like that.
To my Camelback if I'm running. That helps. But all in all, I work out on a fast. I'll run on a fast. The only exception are my long runs, which are typically on Sundays. There are zero rules on Sunday long runs. I will eat. I will break a fast. I don't care. Last Sunday I did 8 miles and I came home and I was like, I'm going to eat. I'm hungry.
Yes.
So.
Well, and I think too, for people listening who are new to fasting, I think one of the most important things you've said, and I say it too, is that, if you feel unwell, you should break your fast, because
100%.
Most people, and from my personal experience too, when you fast, you feel well. Like I don't feel bad when I fast. Now I may have hunger cravings that come and go, but to me, a hunger craving is not a feeling of unwellness. It's just I'm craving something, and I just got to get through that. But like if you feel shaky or nauseous, dizzy, all of that, like you shouldn't feel like that while fasting.
Agree. Yeah, no. Real quick, wanted to give a little shout out to I think if I'm pronouncing this right, Pammy Grammy. She started January 1st and lost 3 pounds, so that's awesome.
That is awesome.
It's all about where you start. So no, I think you're exactly right. Just listen to your body, listen to yourself, and what if you feel nauseated, not hungry, tired, or shaky or dizzy? Yeah. So I think it was maybe just before you logged on, but yeah, if you feel any of that, just break your fast. One thing that I think is important that gets overlooked is breaking your fast. I love me some Oreos. I have a pack of Oreos in my pantry, and I don't apologize for them. They're Oreos, and I love Oreos.
And you like them?
Oh yeah, I love double stuffs. It's the only really good Oreo. But I don't break my fast with Oreos, and right. I think so. So that was something that I learned very quickly. And the little tidbit that I share with people is, you just not ate, which is a weird sentence. You just not ate for 12, 16, 18, 24, 40 hours. In my case, the longest fast I've ever done was 88 hours, and I've done some 60s and 64s. you just did not eat for a very extended period of time.
Right.
What is the first thing that you want to put in your brand new body, so to speak?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's always a question that I ask myself, even now. And like, you know, I've been doing it for a while, but I still ask myself that very same question, like every single time. Like, what's that first thing that I want my body to have after not eating for 40 hours?
Right. And I think that's
that can make or break me.
Yeah, and that's a valid point. And for several reasons, it's like, one, you don't want to get GI upset or distressed, because you certainly can get that by eating, you know, some people's digestive systems are more sensitive, but certainly eating, you know, like a high load meal like that or something, I mean, that can cause issues. So then you had this wonderful feeling, and now you've ruined it with digestive issues.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, especially if you're doing water only, you're really like revving up autophagy. So like we're experiencing all of these great cellular benefits, cellular cleansing, cell recycling, and then you kind of just right from the get just dump that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you're not getting the maximum benefit. And so while the fast is important itself, like you mentioned, it's equally as important how you break your fast. I think the two go hand in hand.
Yeah. Typically what I'll do is I'll break my fast with an activated charcoal vinegar tonic.
Okay.
Actually, we just got a question. Can drinking too much water throw off your salt level balance in your body during fasting? Should we limit it to around 8 glasses? This is definitely a you question. I would just say, yeah, in excess, of course. But of course, it depends on what you're doing for that day. If you're active, drink more. If you're not, then you can tone it back.
Yeah, and I mean, it depends on too, like how long the fast is, because I mean, it's hard to get water intoxication. I mean, I feel like that's probably what she's getting at. Like, you're drinking too much water and then your electrolytes are off. That's very hard to do unless you are like outside sweating excessively. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's some special circumstances going on, because the body in itself is very good at regulating salt balance. So under 24 hours, like you should stay hydrated, if anything, because I think people fail to realize is that when you fast and those insulin levels come down, it acts as a natural diuretic. So a lot of people lose water weight very rapidly during fasting because they're peeing off the excess. So you're going to be dehydrated. And that's what I worry about, people who do extended fasts, but they're only drinking coffee and tea, because those are diuretics. You're losing water.
So she just commented again because she fasted for 40 hours and felt that way. Yeah, so I agree. I just think, you know, keep an eye on it, you know, and the one thing that I've noticed, and Doug, you can probably chime in as well, or you might agree, is when fasting, I tend to slightly oversalt my food if I'm going into a fast. So
I do too.
Yeah. So, I mean, not so much that it's like I can't tolerate this, but maybe just a tad more.
Yeah, in general, I don't do much salt restriction. So my foods, I feel like my foods tend to, like, I cook with salt. Do you know what I mean? Tend to at a baseline.
Yeah.
And then I try to eat lots of mineral rich foods, so that then when I'm fasting, I know I have a good supply. But I drink plenty of water when I fast. And then if anything, I'll throw, I like the pink Himalayan salt as well.
Same.
I will throw some of that on my tongue, like in the morning, you know, because again, you don't need tons of it.
I'll mix it into my first glass of water in the morning.
Yeah.
Just kind of start. Oh, that tonic I was explaining, it's by Vermont Village.
I'll type that too.
So it's called Daily Detox Functional Vinegar, but it has activated charcoal in it. It's an apple cider vinegar base, and I break my fast with that.
And it's available at your local.
It's a start. The dosage is 1 fluid ounce. Sometimes I mix it with soda water. Sometimes I don't. but I figure, you know, it's a good start to break it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, there was a comment earlier when we were talking about breaking our fast. Somebody mentioned fruit. I'm 50-50 on fruit. I tend to start with, after that, either nuts or, you know, seeds of some sort, just to get some solid, you know, protein, plant-based protein in there. But
Yeah.
fruit would probably feel fine too. You know, I would, you know, it's a lot of sugar right after a fast, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, to each his own for sure.
And I tend to someone else left a comment. Finn Robin 22 said she breaks her fast with one boiled egg. That's a good way to break it
Yep.
too. I generally just tell people, you know, one, a lot of it's trial and error. Like you've already said, you have to see what works with your body. I tend to break my fast with whole foods. So that's what I tell people, you know, nothing out of the package, nothing out of, you know, a box. Not, you know what I mean? Like not ultra processed foods. And then I'll do fermented foods. So I make
Okay.
my own like fermented vegetables. And so I will break with just like a small thing of fermented vegetables. And then I'll wait like an hour, hour and a half. And then I'll have like a larger meal. So I kind of like, so it sounds like kind of the same thing you're doing, just with something different. You're like priming your digestive system, like,
Right.
hey, okay, we're about to start, you know,
Right.
eating again,
Yeah.
like wake up.
Right.
And then
Dinner's coming, so I'm about to eat.
exactly. It's like, okay, you know what's coming next after. And I find that works really well for me. But I don't think, like you said, I think if your fruit is, you know, it's not a blended something, you know, with a bunch of other stuff in it. Like if you're eating an apple or whatever, I mean, test it out. If you feel fine,
You feel
even
great,
though
go
that
for
might not be the way that I break my fast, if
Right.
you feel fine with that fruit, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Because again, our guts are all different, our microbiomes are all different. So it just comes down to what works, you know, for you.
One of the things that I always found was really funny was when I first started fasting was not only just how old fasting is,
Mm-hmm.
but also how widespread it is.
Yes.
You know, if anything, it seems like, you know, here in America, we're just late to this party.
Yes.
But when I talk to, there's no nicer way to say it. When I talk to white Americans,
Mm-hmm.
they and I tell them like what I'm doing, and you know, I tell them about my, you know, success and that I've had with it. They're like, oh my God, like you're gonna die, and they're like, I mean, you look great, but you're gonna die. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not dead. We're actually having this conversation, and I'm talking to you right now, so that's a good sign. But every non-white American, they're like, oh yeah, I totally get it.
Huh.
And I love that. Like it's really cool to kind of see the difference and to kind of have that. So
many Eastern religions
you know,
have had it as a
Yeah. I'm trying to think where I feel like I've heard honestly in the States at least, pretty much every culture or I guess I won't say culture because there's some obviously religions that fast regularly, so
Right.
who get that concept. But excluding people like of a religious affiliation, I think I've gotten the comment or like the big eyes from pretty much every racial ethnic group that I've talked to when I've mentioned fasting. I just think in general too that you know, again, in the religious setting, I think people have been doing it for eons, right? I mean, it just goes together. It's fasting and prayer. That's like not a foreign concept.
100%.
But outside of that, you know, group, outside of religion, yeah, like I had someone at work tell me, you know, they were like, that goes against everything my trainer has ever said. Or I was at a conference one time and met up with people from like my old fellowship program. And someone was like, oh yeah, we saw you lost a lot of weight. You're doing that starving yourself, right? I was like,
yeah,
not starved, not.
Doc, I think that's a question for you, Finn Robin 22 down there at the bottom.
Did she ask? Let me see. Is there
Also, we
any?
got a wave from Clara, so we should wave at her too.
Oh, and we skipped somebody else. Okay, we'll go down to Robbins and we'll pop back up. Is there any risk of lowering metabolic rate when fasting on a regular basis? So, no, actually, the studies have shown that fasting raises metabolic rate. So, thing though that you can do is that I've seen people do 1 meal a day and not consume adequate amount of calories. So that in itself could, slow down metabolism or make your body more prone to holding on to weight rather than the fasting itself. So especially if you're doing 1 meal a day, you got to make sure that that 1 meal a day is very nutrient dense. You can't just have like a salad with a few walnuts as your 1 meal a day. Like you have to eat if you're doing 1 meal a day.
And to piggyback on that too, having been more active and running and things lately, there is a huge difference between a calorie deficit and no calories at all.
Right.
So, have enough to sustain yourself. I mean, since, more workouts and more runs, I eat a lot more carbs than I did at the beginning because I wasn't active. So, yeah, I mean, as far as metabolic rate and stuff, I mean, that is entirely your wheelhouse, but I would definitely say, from an active perspective and stuff, just don't be afraid to eat enough calories for yourself.
Yes. Because that's what I think people have had that diet mentality so long about the calorie counting and things like that. And so people will try to, really severely restrict that 1 meal a day. And it's like, no, you have to eat to fuel your body.
Yeah. Your 1 meal a day cannot be half an almond.
Right.
Like that's terrible. You need to eat something.
Yes.
I mean, like I said, like my carbs, I mean, when I first started, I was very low carb. By the way, I did no dietary restrictions.
Okay, that's what I was going
to By the way, so I know we didn't talk about that. I know a lot of people pair keto and IF together. I didn't do any of that. I told myself, like, if I limit myself, then I'm going to end up binge eating a whole pack of Oreos and not feel bad. So, I had 1 or 2 Oreos. I still have 1 or 2 Oreos. I love my Oreos. We already talked about that, but I'm sorry. I love my Oreos. If I want to indulge, I indulge, but I don't overindulge. So I was very low to no carbs in the beginning. I'd say probably the first 5 months. Since getting more into running and advanced hiking and stuff, my carbs have gone up a lot because I need that fuel for later. So, adjust to your lifestyle and don't be afraid to eat.
Well, and that's the thing too. I like that intermittent fasting really works with almost any nutrition type. So I know everyone's like very bent today on labels, and you have to label yourself like you're either keto or you're plant-based or you're vegan or you're vegetarian or you're paleo or, like a million different things. But the nice thing is intermittent fasting works with all of them. It's very nice.
My old neighbor is a serial off Atkins guy.
Okay.
Probably in the 3 years I've known him, he's been on or off of Atkins at least 30 times.
Oh, wow.
I love him to death, but, I'm on Atkins this week. Oh, great. And then next week he's like, dude, you got to try this ice cream. And I'm like, man. So anyway, he's trying it as well. He's doing 16-8.
Okay.
So, he's getting used to it. When we used to live next to each other, he saw my success at around 50 pounds. And he was asking me what I did. And he was like, oh, that's awesome. I told him about 16-8. I told him about OMAD. I told him about, 14-10. Like, I was like, dude, you can, there's all these things. 5-2. And I see him like a week later, and he's like, man, I tried that fasting thing that you did. I was like, oh, cool. What did you do? He's like, no. I did what you do. And I'm like, Rick, you can't do that, man. Like I've been doing this for a few months. Like I worked up to the 40. Like you just can't go from eating to a 40-hour fast. Like that's not cool. So, yeah, I talked him off that ledge a little bit and got him down to 16.8. So he seems to be enjoying it. So
yeah. And I think, like you said, the biggest take homes, I think, for people watching tonight, is that, you know, again, you obviously don't be afraid to try, but you have to make it yours, like make it your own. So like it's not like you picked up, you know, something or someone came and sat you down and said, okay, Frank, the way that you're going to lose weight is if you do 48. Like you came to that conclusion through trial and error, seeing what works for you, seeing what your body maximally performed at. And so I think that, you know, definitely, I think 16.8 is a great place to start. But if you're not seeing the results you want with 16.8, then you need to kind of play around with it and tinker it more.
The question that just came in from Zonica 26, I'll let you handle that. The only thing I would say is probably need to talk with a pro
physician.
Yeah, because that can be a big deal.
Yeah. So, I mean, that sounds like, obviously, we don't give medical advice here. So, if he doesn't eat and passes out, he needs to speak with different. Someone.
But, you know, what I could say is maybe figure out how he eats now. So maybe he has a light breakfast and a big lunch and maybe a light dinner. Maybe like gradually work your way in. So maybe you could do like 14-10. You know, if he wanted to try it, restricting your eating window is beneficial regardless of what that window is. Even if it's 12-12, it's beneficial to limit it. So, but definitely, you know, want to talk with a professional about it because passing out's not good.
Yeah, I'm like they may have to look at and find out why that happened.
Right.
But and two, also for people who aren't able to fast, you know, for long periods of time, like you said, focusing on your eating window. And the other thing is to decrease snacking in your eating window. So like a lot of people notice benefit just by having 3 square meals a day, not eating late at night, and not snacking.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and drinking water. So, because still, if you're going, you know, 3 to 4 or 5 hours in between meals, it at least allows your body to get into something we call the post-absorptive state. So, I mean, there's benefit to that too.
Yeah. So. And, you know, and I think too, you know, it took a lot for me, you know, like just being completely honest. I mean, it was really hard. You know, it was. I had to retrain my mind. I had to retrain, you know, everything. And because, I mean, I was almost 400 pounds. I mean, I was 370. You know, healthier snacks, healthier things. So the things that are, but you have to make that decision to make them readily available for you. You know, instead of chips and crackers or something, you know, it's nuts. You know, typically pistachios and cashews, some things that are high in good fats, high in good vitamins. You know, occasionally, you know, sunflower seeds, hazelnuts, things like that. But, you know, it's okay to slip, you know, I mean, you know, I remember, you know, probably like month 3 or so, we had a party and like I broke my fast, but it turned in what was breaking my 40 turned into OMAD. Right. And that's one thing I really love about fasting is it's so flexible that I can really do whatever I want with it. So some days I'm like, you know, perfect for instance, right? Last Sunday when I did my long run, my 8-mile run, I was technically supposed to fast today, technically. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not feeling it. Right. And I just did 16.8. Actually, I did 18.6 on accident. And it worked out fine. And I'm totally fine. Venica, we touched about it earlier. The best way to break a fast. Short recap is, for me, I like nuts. I like, there's an activated char. If you scroll up, there's an activated charcoal vinegar thing that I like, and basically like some form of protein. If you're plant-based, it can be lentils or beans. If you're not plant-based, hard-boiled egg, deli meat, whatever. But yeah, that's how I break it. And you can see a little bit of that up. And and then huge congrats to Ramos Kari 17. So it says, you decrease slowly. So you started 16.8 and then down. That's going to happen. It definitely, I think, you mentioned it earlier, is you'll end up feeling better. And then you're like, oh, okay, I can just keep going.
Exactly.
I've forgotten to break my fast once. And I end up doing like a 45 or a 42 or something. And it just happens. You feel good, or you're running around.
You stop thinking about food constantly, and you definitely, it just retrains you. So we'll take this last question here, and then we'll get ready and wrap up for the evening. I have a newborn, so I can't stay away from him too long. But later.
So breakfast being the most important meal of the day.
What do you tell people?
I mean, I have a particular view on it.
That's interesting. Let's hear your view, and then I'll chime in with mine.
Okay, so both my wife and I work in marketing and advertising.
Oh, okay.
So
I hear chuckling in the background.
Yeah. So breakfast as the most important meal of the day started around the time of the Industrial Revolution by the egg and dairy people and their lobbyists and ad councils. So it's really just kind of bogus. And it was propaganda and created to sell more eggs. That said, I think realistically it can be beneficial to some. So yeah, that's true.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you too.
So so I think for some people it is the most important meal, but I think the hype about it being the most important meal is a little extreme. There's nothing wrong with skipping it and having either an early lunch, and an early dinner, or if you're fasting, just hammering through it. So, but I'll let you speak to your side of it.
Well, I came up with like a little smart aleck reply, because I would get that from just a lot of people, not having breakfast. And I'm like, I do when I break my fast.
Right.
So there you go. It's just at different times.
I think my wife was telling me towards the beginning when I started that, I think was it your grandmother that when you got up was, how do you want to break your fast?
Yeah.
Like it was like that was the verbiage. It wasn't, what do you want for breakfast? It was how do you want to break your fast?
How do you break your fast? Yeah. So that's what I tell people. And you know what, there are some people who prefer, again, everyone's body's different. There's some people who prefer to eat in the morning. So if you want to try fasting, you can have breakfast and lunch. And then, don't have dinner. So, I mean, it's very flexible for people who are like, you know what, I could do better by not having my night meal. But if I don't have breakfast, I don't feel well. So it's like, perfect. Then switch
the flexibility from the get-go, I said, if I'm going to stick to something, it needs to be flexible, adaptable, and sustainable. And that's what really made fasting work for me, was the fact that I can tweak it on a daily basis. I can tweak it on a monthly basis. I can do, whatever I want with it.
Yes. And I think that's why it's here to stay too. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
I was going to butt in real quick. Like he mentioned earlier, fasting is all about retraining your brain, retraining the way you think. But I've seen a lot of people asking about their significant others and about themselves. And it's also a lot of retraining the people that love you too. Like I come from a very deep Southern family, and it is, oh my God, are you hungry? You only had 4 plates. What's wrong? You don't like the food? Are you okay? Are you sick? And it's
That's true.
I'm just done eating. I'm full and I'm happy and I loved it.
Yep.
But
no, that's true too. And slowly, you're right. Your family, at least I find immediate family, sometimes extended family, you may never get them on that bandwagon.
No,
but the people who live with you, the people, around you, I think eventually everyone kind of adapts, and they, and other things too, just breaking that mentality of you have to finish everything on your plate, eat up, like, we, for our kids don't fast per se, but if they say they're full, I'm like, all right, that's fine. No, I save it.
But don't come at me for a cookie in 20 minutes.
Exactly.
That's
different. So, yep, I save it. We save
unless
their
it's
food.
an Oreo.
And I'm like,
my
Oreo. But I'll save their food, and then I'm like, you can finish it later when you're hungry. And so,
exactly. Totally fair.
Yep. And I think that's fine. So it's just kind of retraining the way you think altogether. But
it's been awesome. I mean, from thinking about what you want to put in your body to the snacks that are available, that you make available, and wiser decisions. Fasting has really taught me a lot.
Yeah,
it's been really cool.
I think, and that's why I encourage people to try it, because I'm like, you're going to learn so much. People just look at it as you're not eating, but it's so much more than that. And you learn so much about yourself and your body and the food choices you make through intermittent fasting. It forces you to kind of think about all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a learning lesson for our relationship, because it started to really highlight how much we had deprioritized healthy eating for, okay, we've been in the car in traffic for 2 hours one way. He's like, yeah, I just want to sit down and talk to you, and I don't want to deal with the dishes because that's another hour. I'd rather spend that extra 45 minutes talking. So, hey, we'll go out to a restaurant. And that slowly started morphing into, okay, no, I really actually do need to leave the office at an intelligent, sane person time and get home, because he has a window to eat in, which turned into me having a proper window to eat in. And it started to evolve in a way that felt really healthy and natural, but it also helped your relationship, which was nice. Because, I when he said he was doing this, my immediate reaction was, you don't love me anymore. Nah, it wasn't quite that bad, but it's like, no, that's like the one time a day that we have together. Don't take my time away from you. And then, like, well, okay, so it's on us, but also on me to figure out how else do you spend time together.
Right. And that's a huge point, because a lot of people are like, well, if I stop eating by then, this is the only time my family has together. And so that's the whole thing. It's like retraining. It's like, well, you still have that time.
Right.
You're
just
do
conversing
something else.
instead of eating.
Right.
And that's fine.
Things are coming out of your mouth instead of going in.
Exactly.
So I know you got a kid.
Baby, congratulations.
Thank you.
Wardley, I want to answer your question, so feel free to reach out to me, DM, about the best way to break an extended 4-day fast. I've done one, so I hear you. And I do have a little advice for you. And then I'll sign off with this, that, it does help. And it has helped me. I mean, it sounds like a cliche, but I mean, I was out there, and I let myself go, and it helped. And I feel absolutely amazing. So I have, for those that are interested or would like to follow me or whatever, I have a doctor's appointment on Thursday morning. So I will happily post my results on Thursday morning, and y'all can see, legit results that, cholesterol, whatever, I'll happily post it. It does not offend me at all. I feel awesome. So, and
then tell again your handle so that people can follow you.
Yeah. So it's really easy. I'm at Pisgah Runner, Pisgah. We live right next to Pisgah National Forest, so it only made sense. Nice. And but feel free, reach out to me anytime. I try to be as available as possible, especially for people who are starting the process. And I would say just try it and see what happens. There's so much cool stuff that happens. The mental stuff, the physical stuff, and you'll feel great.
Yes, definitely. And then this will be available. Will replay in my stories. And then my husband found a cool app that allows you to download the video. So I can post it on my website as well and send you the link so that if people want to look at your answers, they can see that, the replay.
100%.
All right. Yep. Well, thank you so much for taking time out to join.
And thanks to everybody who reached out and joined and said, hey, and if you have any questions, just hit me up. I'm happy to help.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And congratulations on your progress. You're so inspiring and it's amazing.
I appreciate it. Well, stay tuned. There's going to be more because I'm still going down.
Yes. All right. Keep telling, keep spreading the word.
Will do. Y'all take care. Have a great night.
All right. You too. Bye.
Bye.